Oh hey, a new Mushroom Girl video. Oh, okay. Maybe that's just clickbait. Surely the video isn't defending pro shipping, right?
Yes, there was most likely some kind of correlation between real life sexual predators and pro shippers, but it doesn't really mean much.
Okay, okay. Maybe they just worded that wrong. I should keep watching them.
Lolicon, Shotacon, and shipping that has pedophilic implications does not turn people into pedophiles. People who already have these real life desires may enjoy the same things in fiction for pretty fucking obvious reasons. The same reasons why someone who likes stabbing people to death in real life in his off time would enjoy watching slasher movies.
Oh, oh no. Bonjour, je m'appelle Vincent, also known as Psycho Vincent on my main channel, and Mushroom Girl. Kinda sucks. If you don't know who Mushroom Girl is, Mushroom Girl, also known as MG, is an art commentator and animator who's known for having not so great opinions. Recently they made a video titled Why Pro Shippers Are Good Actually, a video essay commentary, and right off the bat I have issues with this title. Pro shipping is not okay no matter how you try to spin it. I'll explain why as we get into the video, but before that, trigger warning for the stuff on screen. Hey artists, hello? Look up at the screen, it's important.
MG remaking a video essay? That's totally never happened before. This video is a remake of my pro shipping video because that original video was not great. I don't stand by that video and the unintentional misinformation I spread in that video anymore.
If I'm being honest here, I think unintentionally spreading misinformation is better than intentionally telling people that normalizing pedophilic, incestuous, and abusive relationships through artwork is okay because it's just fictional dark content.
I'm just gonna give a warning that if you're an anti-shipper who's letting out a sigh of relief right now at the fact that I have now disowned my last pro shipping video because you thought I was defending or sugarcoating pro shipping, don't celebrate so early, my friends.
Mushroom Girl proceeds to sugarcoat and defend pro shipping in this video.
A pro shipper is a person who believes that all fictional ship pairings are valid regardless if they portray themes that are seen as taboo by the general public, and by fandom spaces such as abuse, rape, pedophilia, or incest. Pro shippers do not necessarily need to enjoy this taboo content themselves. Some may even find it triggering or disgusting, but despite that, they believe that this content has the right to exist and people who create that content should not be harassed or even face legal repercussions for what they create.
Yeah, that last part is complete bullshit. Pro shippers do enjoy the stuff they create. Why else would you go to such great lengths to defend it if you find it disgusting?
I 100% agree with the general mindset that pro shippers believe in. Fiction is fiction, and as long as it stays completely fictional, there's no harm being done by creating fictional works with taboo themes.
Yeah, but pro shipping content does harm people whilst being fiction. I mean, there's literally a person in your comments saying that they got groomed because they were part of the pro ship community, and since they saw this stuff as okay, they were seen as an easy target.
Ah, ex-pro shipper here. I got therapy and a reality check. And while you do make a few good points in your video, pro shipping isn't good. Sure, it's cathartic, but I got a lot of death threats and was threatened to get doxxed. Plus, it didn't help that I got groomed again because a 20-year-old saw my videos and thought I was an easy target. Good times.
I think that's a good example of fiction staying fiction, yet still harming people.
I think that the censorship of fictional works is harmful to artists and writers and is an insanely slippery slope to go down. I personally believe that anti-ship beliefs come from a personal disgust of certain content, and they think that just because it makes them uncomfortable and reminds them of real-life harmful and taboo subjects, it must be harmful in some way.
Yeah, I think anyone would be disgusted by pedophilic, incestuous, and abusive ships. That doesn't mean I agree with the bullshit anti-shippers get up to, but like, I get why they're mad.
Because of that disgust, they try and find evidence and logic for why these things are actually harmful, and they often don't do a very good job, which is exactly why a whole section of this video will be filled with counter-arguments that I will debunk. Something I want to tell antis who are watching this is that just because something makes you feel uncomfortable or triggers you, doesn't mean that you should fight to censor it. If you dislike something, you should have every right to not engage with that content and block the people creating it. But on the other hand, the people creating this content have every right to not only create that media, but post it publicly, given it's allowed
On the places they're posting it. Feelings are often not entirely logical, which is why people such as pro-shippers put aside their disgust of certain topics to think logically about the topic at hand. That doesn't make these feelings invalid, but basing your whole idea of fiction on these feelings without properly thinking through them is a bad idea. Anti-shippers have created sort of a straw man of pro-ship beliefs in order to make their arguments sound more understandable. The definition has been heavily rewritten by antis to basically mean people who fetishize pedophilia and incest. I think you all can understand why this rewrite would be dangerous to the lives of pro-shippers. I don't think I need to spell it out for you. The definition has slowly turned from freedom of expression to basically a pedophile with extra steps.
This reminds me a lot of what Republicans do. They spread misinformation and say the most bigoted things imaginable, and when they get banned or when people just don't want to listen to them, they cry First Amendment. Freedom of expression does not mean freedom of consequence. You have every right to come up to me and call me the N-word, but that doesn't mean I'm not going to slap you for it. Pro-shippers have the right to drop pedophilic and incestuous relationships, but that doesn't mean they're not going to get called out for it.
Since anti-shippers usually believe that liking a problematic pairing in media, especially for some kind of sexual purpose, means that you would also find it attractive in real life as well.
I mean, yeah, if somebody is seeking out incestuous relationships in media for sexual reasons, I don't think it would be unreasonable to assume that they might be into that.
They are literally rewriting the definition to make it as easy to call pro-shippers pedophilic, abusive, family-fucking rapists as possible.
Antis aren't changing the definition. They're arguing that fiction does in fact infect reality, and normalizing these problematic relationships are harmful.
Many anti-shippers also make such lovely arguments about pro-shipping and the harm it does, so let's discuss some of those now.
If young impressionable children see content that's romanticizing pedophilia, incest, and abuse, they might think those behaviors are okay in real life.
I agree with this statement at face value, though there's one simple solution to this. Don't let this content get into the hands of people who are too young to properly differentiate fiction from reality.
Mushroom Girl says, completely forgetting that the majority of pro-shippers are children.
Unless that content is being deliberately shown to children or posted on websites made for kids, it's not pro-shippers' fault if children find that content. These works should have mature content warnings on them, and if they don't, then that's the individual creator's fault, not the fault of the pro-ship community or mindset as a whole.
So, I went on Instagram and searched hashtag pro-ship, and oh look at that, no trigger warning. Oh look at that, no trigger warning. Oh look at that, no trigger warning and sexualizing a child.
Also, some of the content often discussed in these discussions is pornographic and probably shouldn't be in the hands of young children anyway, whether it features incest, abuse, and pedophilia or not. And yes, a few little kids with unrestricted access to the internet could gain access to this content no matter how well you hide it from them. But at that point, they're probably seeking it out, and that's not really the pro-shipper's fault. And fuck, by this logic, anything not kid-friendly isn't allowed on the internet. Fictional violence, fictional gore, pornography in general, not even just the stuff you personally find gross or immoral.
People aren't upset because pro-ship content isn't kid-friendly. I mean, I'm sure some people are, but Karens are gonna Karen no matter what the content is. No, the issue with pro-shipping is that this content is normalizing and romanticizing pedophilic, incestuous, and abusive relationships. And I know you said that pro-shippers aren't at fault if a child finds their content even if they try to hide it from kids, but a lot of pro-shippers just don't do that. I mean, a lot of pro-shippers, majority of them just straight up don't care. And because they don't care, it opens up a lot of people who don't know any better, as people are most often young kids, but it doesn't have to be, to see this and believe that these problematic relationships are okay and normal, which opens them up to be taken advantage of, or in some rare situations, take advantage of someone else. Also, another thing, a lot of pro-ship content is made for media made for or has a large child audience. I'm not saying you can't make not kid-friendly content of characters from kids' media. Granted, if said character is of age, I'm looking specifically at you. But you do have to be aware that kids who like that media, specifically made for them, are going to seek out content of that media. This itself isn't an issue, but considering how predatory the pro-ship community is, I can't help but feel like that may be intentional. Just maybe a little bit, probably.
Fictional pedophilic content causes people to have those desires in real life and makes people commit those crimes in real life.
This is a common argument made by aunties, and while to some it may seem sound at first, there has been, at least to my knowledge, no studies that properly confirm this claim to be true. Yes, there was most likely some kind of correlation between real-life sexual predators and pro-shippers, but it doesn't really mean much.
What do you mean that doesn't mean much? So you acknowledge that there is a correlation between people who are okay with pedophilic relationships and pedophiles in a community full of children, and that doesn't mean much?
Let me explain. Lolicon, Shotacon, and shipping that has pedophilic implications does not turn people into pedophiles. People who already have these real-life desires may enjoy the same things in fiction for pretty fucking obvious reasons. The same reasons why someone who likes stabbing people to death in real life in his off time would enjoy watching slasher movies.
Did you just compare liking Loli to liking slasher films? Are you fucking kidding me? It's true that Loli doesn't turn you into a pedophile. Because if you like Loli or Shota, you're already a pedophile. There's no getting around that. But that doesn't mean if you like slashers, you're a murderer. It's like, why would you even think those two things are remotely similar? Loli has to do with the sexualization of children, and slashers are just guy kills people and then dies at the end, but he's not really dead because we like money. Like, those are not even the same, like, at all. Those cannot be compared.
Yet that does not mean that everyone who enjoys the slasher genre wants to hurt people in real life, or that the genre shouldn't exist. Hell, people have already committed crimes based on violent works of fiction, and I don't see any aunties claiming that these works shouldn't exist.
They aren't claiming slashers shouldn't exist because it's not normalizing homicide.
The first example that always pops up in my head when I think about this discourse is the Slender Man stabbing, a case where two 12-year-old girls attempt to murder their friend as a sacrifice to Slender Man. The fictional work did have something to do with this crime, it's quite clear, but I don't see anyone blaming the fictional character or the people who wrote it for the atrocity.
That's because that was an isolated incident. Those two girls were obviously mentally unwell and were needed serious help. It's not common for people to try to kill somebody because of a fictional piece of horror media they saw. It is common for young kids in the pro-ship community to be groomed by pedophiles because they already see these predatory relationships as normal and thus are an easy target.
point I'm trying to make here is that anti-shippers usually only throw a fit about dark media when it's sexual or romantic, which is a really weird specificity to have, but it's most likely based on moronic anti-kink and anti-porn beliefs. But it makes them look really silly when you see anti-shippers eating up dark, morally questionable, and violent content, but throwing a fit on the ground like a toddler when they see someone enjoying similarly dark, morally questionable, and violent content because it's just a tad horny.
Mushroomish girl. Pro-ship content isn't just dark content. It normalizes problematic and predatory relationships. There's a difference between someone enjoying Happy Tree Friends and someone making art shipping a Nez with the hacker. Happy Tree Friends is a show that's violent for the sake of being violent, and Inez is 9 years old, and the hacker is an adult. Not to mention, he's known to be verbally abusive and manipulative. In the early seasons, they kinda nerfed him. In the later stuff, just made him like a raging narcissist and a bumbling idiot, but still, you get my point.
Oh look, this next counter-argument is a rebuttal to what I just said. Let's hear it.
Rape is inherently worse than murder, which is why you can portray one in a fictional setting and not the other.
Who said that? No. I want to know who the hell is actually arguing that rape is worse than murder. I know the anti-community is known for being a bunch of toxic dumbasses, but I highly doubt that is an actual argument actual people are making. Raping somebody and killing somebody are both equally disgusting and evil crimes. Anyone with a fucking object permanence can understand that. I don't even think Kevin Leonardo would say that, and he's known for saying outrageous stuff for views and attention online.
Lolicon is illegal, so it must be morally wrong.
Are we really going to argue that the legality of certain actions dictates the morality of them? Really? Is that really where we're going here? First of all, what laws are we talking about here?
This one.
Each country has its own laws that differ from each other, and I am very sure that you could find somewhere in the world that does not have any kind of law against lolicon. Saying that legality equals morality makes no sense because laws from different places contradict each other.
Yeah, I get that. But loli is illegal for a fucking reason, bro. It's child porn. I'm not saying that all laws are morally right, but I think this one is.
Oh, you mean US laws. Now I'm getting it. You're all chronically American. I'm fucking sorry, but I didn't know the Earth was just one giant United States. Basing universal morality off of US laws has the implication that the US is somehow like the pinnacle of morality or something.
Literally no one said that. Anyone who's not an old white boomer is aware of how terrible the US is.
Because why the hell else would we specifically be using US laws? If it's that antis generally believe that the US is more moral than other countries, and that's why they find US laws in particular so important, buddy, have you taken a US history class? There are a lot of things that are immoral that are not illegal in the US, and there's a lot of things that used to be legal in the US that are very much not moral. Can we stop basing what are supposed to be universal moral ideals on one set of laws and one set of laws alone? It comes off as really xenophobic. By the way, the argument I'm making applies to any country, not just the US. If you're using fucking French laws, you still have the same issues as if you were using US laws or Canadian laws or like Japanese laws or Korean laws. There are so many different countries you could use the laws of, and it would still not work because legality does not equal morality no matter where you are in the world. Oh, and I just want to mention this really quick because I don't want people to misconstrue my argument, because once somebody did and it turned into a screaming match, and when I say a screaming match I mean a one-sided screaming match, because that's always fun, and I don't like getting screamed at in calls. So for future reference, when I say that something being illegal does not automatically mean it's immoral, that is not me saying that everything that is illegal is moral. Yeah, I don't think it's okay to murder people. Crazy thing, I know. It might be really surprising to hear this, but I don't actually think murder is a great thing to do. I'm not gonna name drop this person because the call was private, but it is somebody that many of you may know. But yeah, I don't know how this specific person misconstrued my argument to be that, but I hope you have better comprehension skills today. I hope so. I hope they got better. Get well soon. Oh yeah, I have another thing I want to address from this specific counter-argument. Lolicon being illegal is debatable.
No, it isn't. Also, even if it wasn't illegal, it doesn't make it okay.
Here's the thing. If you want to make arguments about why Lolicon is immoral, that's fine. I believe that there is an important discussion to be had there. But if your only argument against the morality of Lolicon lolicon is it's wrong because it's illegal, then maybe you need to rethink your opinion on the matter because you clearly don't have enough to actually argue against it.
People aren't saying it's wrong because it's illegal. People are saying it's wrong because it depicts children in sexual situations.
The thing is, my opinions on lolicons are not positive, but at the end of the day, if they're not being creepy towards real children, I could give less of a fuck. I'm just gonna ignore their existence because it's not my business.
Congratulations, you just said the stupidest shit I have heard all day. Like the fact that you put those words together in a sentence and thought that shit was okay, crazy.
First of all, fiction does affect reality.
I 100% agree with the general mindset that pro-shippers believe in. Fiction is fiction, and as long as it stays completely fictional, there's no harm being done by creating fictional works with taboo themes.
It's okay if you portray dark themes in media as long as you don't romanticize or sexualize them. This argument often comes from a good place, and it seems sound and justified at a first glance. But I have a few issues with this argument, so many issues in fact, that I made a whole video on this specific argument. If you want my full opinion where I go into depth about the discussion of the morality of romanticization, watch that video, link in the description. For the lazy people though, do not worry, I will summarize. Romanticization isn't inherently harmful, at least in my personal opinion based on my interpretation of the definition.
Romanticize. Deal with or describe in an idealized or unrealistic fashion. Make something seem better or more appealing than it really is. Romanticization itself isn't an issue, but depending on what you're romanticizing, it can be. Romanticizing problematic, abusive, and predatory relationships are harmful because by making those things seem appealing, you open the door for someone to see it and try to seek out these relationships because they see it as something to be desired.
My favorite example of the sexualization of dark themes to bring up in this discussion is probably Salad Fingers.
Salad Fingers doesn't sexualize dark themes. Salad Fingers is meant to be disturbing. To sexualize means to make something seem sexually appealing. Mushroom mentioned Salad Fingers being a necrozoophile, but based on what I know about Salad Fingers, I don't think that was meant to be a sexualization of that. Salad Fingers is portrayed as mentally unstable and borderline delusional. At least that's what I know from film theory. If they were sexualizing dark themes, I think they would try to make it look more appealing. I'm sorry, I'm gonna go off script for a little bit. The fact that you looked at Salad Fingers and thought they were sexualizing dark themes is honestly concerning. Like, I think you're confusing sexualization with, like, portraying those themes at all.
A series that clearly portrays its main character being a sexual masochist, and even in later episodes, a necrozoophile. This is, by definition, the sexualization of self-harm, among other things. But of course,
No, it doesn't? Where the hell did you get that from? Oh my god, it's finally over. Thank god. Scripting and recording this video gave me a massive headache. I'm so tired. Everything hurts. Moral of the story. Both shippers are bad and should not be supported. Antis also suck, and Lily is not the same as before. And if you have to make a straw man to support your argument, then you should reevaluate your argument. And, listen girl, if you're watching this, I genuinely don't think you're a bad person, but I don't think I can support you after this video. Besides what you have to say on bi lesbians, I genuinely thought that what you had to say was informative, but after this, I see that is no longer the case. I strongly suggest that you take down this video or at least reconsider your opinions. Not only are you promoting the idea that romanticizing and normalizing pedophilic, abusive, and incestuous relationships to your audience is okay, but you compared Lily to slashers, and you made up a straw man to support your argument. I know you're probably not going to listen to anything I'm going to say, considering you have a history of taking criticism and wiping your ass with it, but I at least hope you take my words into consideration. And I really hope that one day you grow up and realize that this mindset is not okay. If you want to see actual good video on pro-shipping, I recommend Duchess Celeste's video on the matter, link in description. Honestly, making this video was just like a whole process. I had to watch Mushroom's video like twice. It was painful. Also, if you liked any of the art I was making in the background, my commissions are open. I don't know. Bye. I'm tired. Just go away.